Okay, to those who don't know, football is one of my new hobbies I got into this past year due to like Taylor Swift and everything, and I want to keep getting into it over these next few years. And so I saw people on Reddit doing this. It's basically a tier list of every single team and like what I think of them. So first up, my ride or die tier, pretty explanatory. My favorite team in the league, definitely the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, I did start watching because of Taylor Swift, but I really fell in love with like the culture. For example, I think the fan base is pretty great for the most part. I really like Andy Reid as a coach. I love the players. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, and there's really not an argument in terms of that and what he's been able to do. Travis Kelsey is great. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed on the team as well. I really like Rashee Rice and what he's been able to inject into this offense and everything. And so I just really enjoy everything about the team for the most part, I will say. I think that they have a great GM. I love the franchise series. I like interacting with the fan base on Twitter. Like everything about this team is A plus for me. Now on to love them unless we're playing against them. So these are teams that I also root for and everything, but it's kind of in a second tier. First up, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Shout out to Lamar Jackson. I think he had a great season this year. Unfortunate how it went down to the AFC Championship game, but I think he has a lot of potential. Already won 2 MVPs. I also really like the rest of the team on offense and defense. I think they're really strong. I like the culture. I like John Harbaugh as the head coach, and I'll keep watching them for years to come. I really like the uniforms, the colors, like everything about this team. I really enjoy it for the most part. And now the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, Joe Burrow, again, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's unfortunate that he got injured this past season, and I hope that this next year he has a phenomenal season. And, shout out to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and, DJ Reader on the defense and the whole team. Again, I really like the culture of this team for the most part. I know that they tend to go back and forth with, the Chiefs fans and everything like that. But, for the most part, I really like them. I think Joe Burrow is just excellent. So I'm excited to see what they do for the future for sure. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Just the passion that this fan base has is, some of the best in the league. Shout out to Jalen Hurts. I feel like he gets really disrespected, and I'm tired of seeing it. Like, you're not about to act like some of these quarterbacks are better than him whenever he was in the Super Bowl this past year, and a lot of y'all fave quarterbacks can't even make it to the Super Bowl and win playoff games. Like, they're just disrespecting too much, in my opinion. I think that the ceiling is, only getting higher for him. I really like the rest of the team with, Devontae Smith, for example, DeAndre Swift, Jason Kelsey is obviously on this team, and I just really like the culture. I like the uniforms. The Kelly Green is phenomenal. So yeah, they're definitely going to be one of my favorites. They're really fun to watch. And I know that this season didn't go how everyone expected to with the collapse, but, with the firing of the offensive and defensive coordinators, I hope that they can get everything, ready and make a really great playoff run this next season, so we will see. But I really do love them. Houston Texans, shout out to CJ Stroud, man. So much fun to watch, and I'm just so excited to see what they do over these next few years. As someone from Texas, I can really appreciate them, so I tip my hat to them. Next up is my great teams tier. I think that they're great at what they do. I can enjoy watching them. I wish them continued success and everything. I just don't really root for them as hard as the teams listed above them. First up, Buffalo Bills. They have a big rivalry with the Kansas City Chiefs fans. They tend to win in the regular season, and Kansas City owns them in the postseason. It's not really up for debate. Josh Allen, is he a little bit overrated? Yes, but I mean, he's great at what he does. Now that I'm watching the more games, I can definitely concur with that. I will say, and we'll see if they're ever able to get to a Super Bowl. I think that they need to fire the head coach and make some other changes if they want to get there, because Josh Allen is definitely not the problem on that team. I think they're really fun to watch. I like the uniforms, fan base, not my favorite, but great at what they do. We will see what happens. Next up, San Francisco 49ers. They used to be in my root for them tier, but the fan base is just getting very annoying at this point. Like, unfortunately, you guys did lose the Super Bowl. Life moves on. It is what it is. But I think that fan base is just so entitled for the fact that they haven't won Super Bowl since, like 96? Like, kind of giving Cowboys and stuff like that, like, whatever Randy say almost doesn't count. Like, yes, you made it, but when you keep losing the Super Bowl and Kyle Shanahan keeps one lead, then, like, it is what it is. And yeah, just the kind of vibe of the fan base and just like other aspects about it, like, I had to lower them down. But I will say, I love Mark Purdy. I think that he gets a lot of unjustified hates. He seems like a great person. I think that he's a great player. So, we'll see what happens. I would like him to win a Super Bowl. I really would. Detroit Lions, they're a great team. I like what Jared Goff has been able to do in the games that they put together that I've seen. I wish him future success. I like what I've seen. Green Bay Packers, shout out to Jordan Love. This is a very young team, and what he's been able to do with this offense, is great. And, shout out to Matt LaFleur, head coach. And, I like the defense. Simone Biles' husband, have nothing for him. Rest of the team seems great, though. I will watch their games probably occasionally. And, if they have success, then I think it's deserved at this point. Good things for the team for the most part. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But, I mean, even the playoffs game this past year alone against Dallas, that was history. It was. And then the fact they almost beat the 49ers, I think they have a promising future ahead of them. I really do. I will root for Jordan Love. I can confidently say that. Now onto I'll watch sometimes tier, pretty self-explanatory. Seahawks. I watched a game or two this year. It just, something's not there for me. Something's not clicking. They're okay, but meh. Chicago Bears, I like Justin Fields a lot. I like the uniforms. I like what I've learned about it, but I think they just have to get better as a team. I think if the season is not good, they need to fire their head coach because he has a terrible record. I wonder what they're going to do about Justin Fields. If they're going to bring in Caleb Williams, we will see what happens with the team. But I hear they're not the best at developing quarterbacks, so we'll see what happens there. But I can appreciate them for what they are. They just have to get better. The Chargers, I mean, they've been pretty bad these past few seasons, but they did fire their head coach and they hired Jim Harbaugh. So it looks like everything will be kind of moving up and everything. I like their uniforms. I like their aesthetic. Justin Herbert, I haven't seen enough to make a fair assessment on him. So we will see what happens this next season and everything. I think it'll take a few years before, they're in Super Bowl contention and everything. And you always have to worry about the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously. So we will see what happens there. New York Giants, I mean, I don't really watch them unless it's a team that I like that's playing against them. But shout out to Eli Manning for winning those 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady. He will always be a legend in that. I like their uniforms for what it's worth. Daniel Jones, they got to get rid of him. And, they got to make some decisions if they want to win. And their head coach, honestly, I think he need to be fired. I don't know what he's doing, but these past years have not been doing good. I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not, but I've been thinking that. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I like their uniforms a lot. I like their little logo. Baker Mayfield, did great this season. He had a nice little postseason run. What I've seen from them, I think that they're good. Shout out to Mike Evans. Miami Dolphins, they are really fun to watch. Whenever I do watch them and everything, I like the offense. Shout out to Mike McDaniel. I think they need to move on from Tua because he hasn't won them a playoff game, and we will see what happens there. But, cute uniforms for what it's worth. I can appreciate them. I think with a few right changes, they can be on a better trajectory. LA Rams, I don't really have much to say about them. They're kind of just there to me, but I don't really have any negative feelings towards them. Shout out to Matt Stafford. The Vikings, I like them for what it's worth. I like their uniforms. I think that they need to move on from Kirk Cousins if they want to win the Super Bowl and everything. They need to draft somebody else that can really train under him and, take over the reins. Shout out to Justin Jefferson. I wonder what they'll do about the contract and everything, but just give him what he wants. He's the best player on the team, but I like them for what it's worth. Honestly, I hope one day they do get the Super Bowl. Absolutely not. These are teams that I just don't like. For the most part, I'm not going to root for them. It's just a chop for me. If their game is on, unless it's a team I like, I won't be watching it. Maybe that can change, but for me, it's a chop at this moment. First up, Cleveland Browns. I mean, first of all, they suck. Their history is not really great. And number 2, Deshaun Watson. Giving him all that guaranteed money with what he's done, I wish no success for them as a franchise, and they will burn, period. Tennessee Titans, they're kind of just there to me. Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young had a rough season, but I think that was more so due to not really having an offensive line, and the coaches were trash. But now that they've been fired and some new people are brought in, we'll see what happens this next season. Falcons, they just never really intrigue me. They never really have. The Saints, same thing. It's getting boring. Cardinals, again, same thing. Shout out to Kyler Murray, though. Pittsburgh Steelers, they need to get a new quarterback. And shout out to Mike Tomlin, though, because, he's very entertaining for what it's worth. I think he's a great coach. Patriots, I never really cared for them, even before I really got into football and learned a lot about it. Especially during that winning streak, they're not for me personally. But, Bill Belichick is a great coach for what it's worth, but now they moved on from him. So we will see what happens, but I don't really care to watch any of their games, if I'm honest with you. Probably never will. Raiders, another, kind of division moment, as well as the Chargers, and I don't really care for them. The fact that Antonio Pierce is talking about, we have the formula to beat Mahomes, and it's you guys beat him one time. You guys really think that you're going to continuously do that, and, you don't have a quarterback to really back it up, and just, yeah, I'm not really seeing it for them. I don't really care for them, and they're owned by the Chiefs. It is what it is. The Broncos, same thing, division rivals, don't really care for them. Colts, boring to me. Jaguars, boring to me. Washington Commanders, I don't really care for the history. I don't care for the name. I don't care for the outfits. I don't care about anything. The Jets need to fire their head coach. They're very boring to me. I know Aaron Rodgers was injured this past season, and, they possibly could have done better, but I don't really care for him as a person and everything. He's a great player, though, but they're just kind of there to me. It's like watching paint dry. And then last of the Dallas Cowboys. As someone from Texas myself, I despise the Cowboys. I despise the fan base. You guys haven't won a Super Bowl since, 1995? And the arrogance saying, every year is going to be our year. All you guys do is choke in the playoffs. Need to get rid of Dak. Need to get rid of the GM and Jerry Jones, and you need to get rid of McCarthy if you're actually serious about winning, which you guys aren't. So it's just no, it's just an embarrassment. It's just an embarrassment, and that's why I will always root for the Texans over the Cowboys. Y'all keep making the same stupid decisions. So yeah, I know that there are some division rivalries with a lot of these people, and I'm probably not supposed to like them because of whatever rules. But I base it off of, do I like the players? Do I like the culture? Do I like the fan base? All of these things. My favorite player in the NFL, I would definitely say Patrick Mahomes. He's that popular for a reason. And then next up, I would say Joe Burrow for sure. But let me know your thoughts on my list down below in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What is your favorite team and why? Let's continue that conversation.